we are the brave. We'll fight you in name, the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save, this land of the brave, the US of A. Oh, say, just that star-spangled banner gave way for the land of the free, and the home of the
Hey folks, welcome to the program. How's it going? Are you ready for something a little bit different? Are you ready for naked protesting? It's a thing. We're going to talk about naked protesting, right? And well, some other things that are out there. Anyway, folks, welcome to the program. How's it going? I hope you grab a cup of coffee. We're going to just cover some awesome things that are out there that are going on. Why not? Do I have horrible audio? Let me see what I got going on. Yes, I do. Let me get my sexy voice on. Drop that quarter for my 976 love voice. Thank you for calling the National Naked Protesting Line. It happens every now and then. I guess I was so excited about bringing you naked protesting, trying to hypnotize you in my little intro video while you were waiting for the program. Look into my eye. Look into my one eye. But play it safe. You could shoot your eye out. Yes, anyway, we're going to talk about naked protesting. And it's a thing, right? It's a thing. And it's coming to cities near you. Am I saying that right? Coming to cities near you. By the way, today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. Here's what I'm asking you to do, right? I am asking you to go to JovanLovesGold.com, JovanLovesGold.com, fill out the request for your free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. Yes, gold and silver. Because things are about to change in the digital world. Yes, they are. Things are about to change in the digital world. And I want you to be ahead of the game, especially if you have a retirement account, 401k, IRA, etc. I also have one little last day for you. CB Distillery. I want you to be able to get some relief in your life. Sleep well, because you're tired of those nights, right? Tired of those nights where you wake up the next morning dragging or exhausted or everything feels harder. Hey, that's what CBD is for. I'm glad I did it. But it's not just about sleep. It's about great solutions from CB Distillery. They work with your body to help with stress, pain, exercise, even mood and focus. And it's all made with the highest quality clean ingredients, no filters, just premium CBD. Imagine waking up rested or enjoying your day without those nagging aches and pains. That's what CB Distillery is about, and that's why over 2 million people trust it. This stuff's the bomb. Ask people in chat. This stuff is the bomb. I like the roll-on pain killer, right? So if you're ready to sleep better or have less stress, or you want to feel good in your own skin again, whether it's fore or aft, it doesn't matter. Try CBD from CB Distillery. And right now, you can save 25% off your entire purchase. Visit CB Distillery. Use promo code Jovan. That's CBDistillery.com. Promo code Jovan, CBDistillery.com. Right? Or is that the code on your screen? Yes, you're seeing correctly. I cut off my curls. I think you can probably kind of see the scars up on my head there. I was doing work on the family land, and I got tangled up in some trees. So, yes, the curls were about that long, wouldn't cut off. You can't tell that they're really that long because I have droopy curls. But I have to tell you, it gets hot. And I just want to be honest with you. You know, I have incredibly big, luscious, curly hair. But I can't get past, now check this out. I can't get past that now my hair is half of my head. Right? I can't get past that. It is a mental disconnect for me. And you know that guy in Rocky Horror Picture Show that's whatever, you know, Igor or whatever. It's got those curls, but it's back at the half of his head. That's how I see myself when I have curls. And so, yeah, I had to, it's a disconnect for me. It really is a disconnect for me, right? I could do a comb over because I could comb it over and it would cover my eyes and everything, but I refuse to do that. I do. I refuse to do that. Maybe, you know, I don't want hair plugs or anything, right? And my hair started being thin. And maybe, you know, I'm just not I'm not a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a disconnect when I see it with my super long curly hair. And I put it in a ponytail, says the kitty lover who wants to ride me like a pony. Yeah, you could grab it. But it's not enough, right? Because my dreidel curls, my Jewish curls, you know, I can pull it back here, but then this part falls out and goes, you know, I'd be better off to just tease it out like it goes and be the Jewish elder I am. But I don't want that look either. But boy, can I pull that off and let my hair go wild and do my Einstein. But sometimes I have to cut it. It's like a purging for me. You know what I mean? Yeah, maybe I should have saved it and sent it to some of you. I hear you saying, I wanted some of those curls. Well, I've cut these off, but I've got some really short, nice, soft ones. Yeah, I was trying to lose weight. Jay had it right. I lost 2 pounds in about 30 minutes. It was awesome. But yeah, sometimes I have to cut it off. And for many, 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 many years on television, on Fox, way back when, of course, my hair was even much longer. Kind of became my trademark for a while. And then I cut it off. You know, our Fox television program we followed in living color became a huge success. And I was always known as the man with the hair, the man with the curls. And I cut it off just before a live appearance in front of 45,000 people, right? And ever since I finally liberated it, different times, I do it. Oh, yes. Now, let me tell you about this thing. People say I love the mullet. But do you know, I technically don't. I know it kind of looks like a mullet, and that's part of my beef, too. That's part of my beef, too. Let me tell you why. There's a black saying amongst Black Americans, and this is called right here. This is called kitchen. Right here. It's like the short, curly pubes right there. And my hair is so curly. And what happens is right here on the sides of my temples, this hair is really short, curly pubes. I kid you not. It's like somebody crawled on me and straddling my forehead. Think about it, you know what I mean? But I get these weird curly pubes here, and it just becomes a Brillo scrub pad. And so as my hair gets longer and I'm battling the kitchen, they call it that, back when people would work in the kitchen and wear the hat and that would stick out, right? Except, right? The kitchen. And it would stick out like a Brillo pad. You're right. And so in order to fight the two little hamsters trying to live on my temples as I have curly hair, which looks really weird, it's just totally out of control, I have to shave my forehead pubes, right? Zzz, 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 and I have to trim them down. Well, then I go to the other extreme. Then I got a freaking mullet, and I'm not trying to cut a mullet. So do you understand what it is? So I battle all these weird images, letting my hair do what it is. And when I do this, I can't go just get a shorter haircut if I let my hair go to curls. So if I let my hair go to, and you've seen it, big old ringy curls, well, what would happen is my hair comes out in all different directions. I kid you not. My hair, and by the way, I can't tame the frizz with any product right here, right? And so when I do allow my hair to grow out, yeah, it's like Bozo, you know, little puff things. I don't need that either. So if I do let that big curl grow, what happens to my natural head of hair is I have to cut it real short, right? To allow my hair to retrain again, because it will stick out 5 or 6 or 7 different directions. I kid you not. And so it has to go so low down. I got hair that'll right here that grows forward, and then it'll grow this way, and then this one will grow this way, and right next to it grow that way. And so I have to take it down short enough, tightly shorn. I have to take it down short enough that as it starts to grow back and product and combing it or whatever, I can make it go one way, and you don't see the crazy head of hair I have. You should see me. You should see me in the morning. Let's say the farm dogs are going off. You think you either got a bear or a mountain lion or whatever. I walk out with my hair sticking 100 directions, shotgun and flashlight, just like you think about, in my PJs. I'm convinced I don't even have to shoot at them, because when they see me, it scares the shit out of them and they run. Anyway, so yes, my curls are gone. If I'd have known you wanted them, if I'd have known you wanted them, I would have packaged it up and sold them. Or not sold them, but provided them to you if you wanted my curls. Hell, you could have sent me photos of you just wearing my curls. But yes, you caught me. I'm getting ready for my new role as RoboCop. And it has to fit perfectly to my face for the fitting. Okay. We're going to look at some nakedness. Yeah. Naked protesting. Did you know that stuff was out there? I knew it was, but I did not know how pervasive it was. I didn't know. And I dived into it to bring you a report on naked protesting, how to naked protest. And I was just surprised how many places around the world will protest naked. That surprises me. It pisses me off. I never get an invitation to go watch, but they do it. So I love nakedness. How about you? We're going to talk about naked protesting. Some of this is fun to see. Some of it, you might want to close your eyes because it'll stain them. Anyway, share this program. We'll get started right after this.
Warning. The following program has been rated Gilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you. Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians? The elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd. Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Joe Von Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Joe Von Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, folks, welcome to the program. I know you want to participate in chat, and I know it's very hard to do one-handed chat when we're doing naked protesting, but it is a thing. It is. It is a thing. Hey, by the way, somebody asked me, your curls, you know, I'm Jewish, but your curls, is that a trait of, what's the word I'm looking for? Is that a trait of specific Jewish tribes? Okay, so let me kind of answer you on that. You're genetically, in your keratin structure, it's called keratin, that makes your hair curls, right? I make your hair curl with my keratin. I make your toes curl. Anyway, it's called keratin structure, and you have variants in your body: TCHH, KRT71, and or RSPO2. Those are the genetic markers that come in your hair structure, which decide whether your hair is straight, whether your hair is wavy, or whether your hair is curly. Okay? Now, although there's not a specific Jewish curly hair marker, and it's there, it just hasn't been discovered down to that level yet, but the type of hair I have, and if you were to look at it globally, it is basically one of the genetic markers yet to be identified, but it is one of the genetic markers of an Ashkenazi Jew, which is what I am. I'm an Ashkenazi Jew. And so, yes, that's why you see a very, very common trait in Jewish people, right? Jewish people to have the big hooping curls, and you see it all across Jewish children and everything else. If you saw my kids, super curly hair, you know, just right. It's just what it is. It is a marker, but it is proof that there's something higher, right? Higher. And there's different types of curls too. There's Negroid Mogollon curl, which comes from, whether you're an American or other person that has more melanin. That's a different, tighter curl. That is one marker. That's a lot of keratin. It just kind of makes it spin and curl. And then there is the one I have, which makes it a big kind of loopy curl, right? They all serve a purpose. Somewhere genetically, they serve the purpose way back in time, to whatever. And of course, if you were to look at ancient sculptures of biblical heroes and all this stuff, all of us have big, curly, dreidelic curls, right? And so, yeah, that's the marker. That's the marker is an Ashkenazi marker. And sometimes, genetically, they're designed for a very specific reasons. One, if it's a very tight curl, hard climate, very, very hot climate, it's very tight. So it has kind of a different respiration on your head and protective issue. And then, of course, there's the things like why pubic hair is a different type of curl. It's not as coarse, but it's very soft and curly. And that one's kind of obvious. It's just so you don't poke your eyes out. Anyway, we are going to talk about naked protesting, but we're going to talk about, yes, thank you very much. I'll be here all week. Thank you for getting my stupid little joke there. Anyway, cheese curls. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, don't poke your eyes out. Or I don't know. If you want to try to poke your eyes out, I guess you can. Just try all you want. I'm not gonna protest you. Anyway, I want to show you something real quick that I find very interesting. And have you tried this? And if you've come across it in your Asian food store, you should try these things. I want to grow these things. Right? Check this out.
Inside this dark, damp tunnel, you'd see thousands of garlic heads floating in shallow water. But they aren't here to be eaten as cloves. Farmers soak and spread them out, letting water channels keep the bulbs wet day and night. With no sunlight, the shoots grow long, thin, and pale yellow instead of green. Nets are stretched across the beds so the sprouts rise straight and don't bend under their own weight. Within weeks, the tunnel transforms into a sea of golden stalks, all grown from simple garlic bulbs. Workers move in to harvest, pulling and cutting them by hand before bundling them into neat stacks. Each batch is packed into crates lined with paper, ready for the market. Called yellow garlic sprouts, they're prized in China for their crisp texture and mild flavor, often tossed in stir-fries, noodles, or hot pot for a fresh but gentle garlic taste.
Doesn't that look good? I do have to tell you a little bit, though. I think I showed you this. I love garlic. Do you like garlic? By the way, if you ever want to make a really good body detox stew, let me give you one real quick. Get you some really good hot peppers, Asian, Thai, whatever you have. Get you some really, 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 really good hot peppers. Cut them up pretty fine. Get you, I use two. Get you 2 big white onions. Dice them. Okay. You're going to just kind of stir them in the pan a little bit to soften them up, set them aside. Then you're going to take 4 bulbs of garlic. 4. I'm not talking 4 cloves of garlic or 4 individual bulbs of garlic. I'm talking the big head, which might have 10 of them. You take 4 of those. 4. Right? Chop them all up. Then, if you have stewed tomatoes, if you've canned, if you want to make them, you just take your tomatoes, pop them into boiling water. The skin will crack. Then you pull off the outside skin. And then you kind of mash them, right? Chop them up, stewed tomatoes. And then basically what you do is you throw all the garlic into a bunch of stewed tomatoes with the onions, right, etc., and the hot peppers, and you slowly stew it. A real slow stew. And it basically makes a garlic stew. About all you really want to add to it, salt, but a garlic stew. And I'm telling you, it's a kick-ass lot of garlic. But, and I know many of you say, well, that'd be too much for me. This is one of the things, if you really, really, really want to have a good cleanse in a good way, that's one of the things to do it with. Now, the garlic's going to come out of your pores for a few days, but it's literally going to drag all kinds of stuff out of your system with a really good hot stew. It is freaking fantastic. I'm telling you, it is off the charts fantastic. The garlic doesn't overpower you because you've stewed it, because it's not a raw garlic. So let's say you do that. Always cook a little extra. Why? Because then the next day, take you a nice, we'll call it a round steak if you have it, and you have kind of a slow cooker. And by the way, yes, this is good for you. Very good for you. Very good for you. It is so antibacterial in your body. It's like off the charts great. You will find in one day of eating this, your clothes will fit differently because it so radically works on the inflammation that's setting around in your system. It'll reduce that inflammation. Anyway, when you have a lot of it left over, take you a round steak, brown it real quick, put it in your slow cooker, then take all of this leftover garlic stew. You can put it in there if you want, add a little bit more tomato sauce or something, then chop up a bunch of bell peppers, preferably long, put it in there and slow cook that round steak. And that is what becomes Swiss steak. And it's the bomb. The bomb, right? But if you really want to do something that's good for your body, totally good for your body, right? Tracy said she made Swiss steak. I love Swiss steak ever since I was a kid and had it for the first time. But that garlic, if you did that garlic drill, and I'm talking 4 bulbs, it's not going to bite you like raw garlic. But you do that slow simmer, you want to talk about something that will purge your system of inflammation. You'll just shrink. I'm telling you, you'll shrink. All the bad stuff in your intestines will go, all the bad stuff in your gut will go, all the bad stuff in your stomach will go, and your body will shrink inflammation-wise just from that one little stewed garlic, right? Stewed garlic recipe. If you're a shortcutter, like you don't have your fresh tomatoes or whatever, and you like your soup a little more or your stew a little more soupy, do the same thing for big bulbs. We're talking as big bulbs as you can find. If you want to throw in a little different flavor, use 2 regular big bulbs of garlic, 1 of purple garlic, 1 of elephant garlic, right? But just get you a big can of stewed tomatoes and throw it in there, right? And if you want to give it a little pump, get you a V8, big, large can of V8 spicy, pour it in there and simmer it. Good stuff. When you get your body that way and you go through these 2 meals and you cleanse your body, you're going to be just like Diane is, going to be ready for the tube steak boogie right afterwards. Anyway, that's I don't know how I got into that. Somebody mentioned something, but that's just an incredible thing. But I showed you that garlic thing in China. I no longer buy peeled garlic. I'll tell you the truth. Anytime I could go buy a Walmart and I could go buy the big jug of already peeled garlic, I would do it until I found out, and I showed you this, it is not a machine. I use about 8 hot peppers, by the way. I make it hot. Dial up your hot, dial down your hot, which is also anti-inflammatory. I used to buy peeled garlic. And, oh yeah, if you want to change it up a bit, fire roasted diced tomatoes to it. That's another one. But I would buy peeled garlic until I found out that all of that peeled garlic comes from China. There's not a machine that peels the garlic per se. As they're packing the line, it's people, they put the garlic clove in their mouth to soften the outside paper. Then they pull it out and pull off the sleeve, and it goes on down a line. Yuck. Okay. Well, I just wanted to show you that little garlic chives or leaks or whatever you call it. But one of the things we're going to do, I'm going to give you a few other stories first, but we're going to talk about naked protesting.
Biden is...
I have to tell you, I never knew Hitler had such perky hooters.
Biden is... Biden is Putin's flag.
Her protest was somebody is Putin's slut. Now, she was a single protester. But we're going to get into mass protesters that protest nakedly. But first, have you been following what's going on? You saw Elon say, get rid of your Netflix account. I think Artis said she got rid of her Netflix account yesterday. Have you seen the latest that's been going on with Netflix? Any of you been following up with this? You might think when we were younger or whatever, that this was a dinosaur movie, right, back in the day. Now, you think this meme's a joke. Dinosaur movies today. Now, where this comes from, it's not a joke. That Netflix Kids, this is Netflix, but Netflix Kids. They have this cartoon that is called Jurassic Park Camp or Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, right? Camp Cretaceous. And I'll show you a little clip of, what is it? I don't know if it's dinosaurs. I don't know. You know, it just came across for me. It might be that very elusive dinosaur called a Licholotopus. I'm not really sure. But here's some of the crusty education they're giving kids.
Real hard. I know. I heard you earlier. I just wanted to hear you say it again because I've been wanting to hear you say that since I don't even know when. Guess what?
Nothing. Maybe we should go.
You are finally official!
You know, I tried to give you a moment, but these two are nosy.
And you said there were no perfect.
I know it was hard to hear, but here's my question. Now, you guys know I'm a throwdown artist, right? I'm not even 50 shades of gray. I'm way off the darker end of the spectrum with a lot more variance. But I in no way understand why you have talks with kids about sexual orientation. I'm not talking about sex and birds and the bees. I'm just talking about sexual orientation. For God's sakes, they are teaching elementary kid schools for elementary grade schoolers, kids in school, about anal sex. I cannot see any virtues or values in this other than it is what it is. It's grooming. Now, I don't care what the hell you do as an adult. It's none of our business. You're an adult. But I cannot fathom. And you know me, I don't I don't hide it, right? I admit how much I'm wonkadoodle, sexualized, all that other stuff. But what the hell's going on that it's in schools? What the hell going on? That is sex ed. Here's how you protect yourself from having babies. We're going to teach the class today to have anal sex. I don't know about you. And of course, you got to remember, I was diddled by a pair of fifth grade teachers every day. But I can tell you what they didn't do, and nobody breathed a peep of it, is nobody ever, as a teacher, talked about their sex activity, sexual partners, or otherwise. And if you even polled the gay community and asked them about sexualizing kids like this, they're totally against it. What's going on when we see these things? And the only thing I can think of is they are normalizing sex with kids. And it's because they're expanding the market for the kids they're kidnapping. That's the only thing I can logically think through. What would be the reason? Just that. What would be the reason? And the reason has to be to desensitize adults and to sexualize kids. So sex with kids just kind of becomes something that's accepted, and it's not really that big a deal. And yes, it is actually what they did back in the 80s, normalizing man-boy love. It's all about destroying normalcy, destroying families, destroying children. And if you look at it, and you're right, we know that Jesus loves the kids the most. And what are they targeting? The kids. So this is an attack, but I cannot fathom any show that's supposed to be about kids and exploring and dinosaurs. What are they really exploring? Tongue tangling as teenage chicks. Now, I get it. I understand, but not our kids. And so the only rational thing I can think of, it's about opening doors that shouldn't be opened. I guess that's the only thing I can say. Opening doors that are open. And it comes from the party that says they want to protect, Me Too, girls, and all this other stuff. No, they're grooming them to go down this path. Do you see the same thing? Now, no, some of them are waiting on God to set this shit straight. God's not going to set it straight. We have to set it straight. I know people say God will set it straight soon. I want to let you know, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think God, in giving us free will, is allowing us to see this so we respond. God uses people to do things. God's not going to wave a magic wand and fix this. It is not going to happen. And we can't pray our way out of it. And the reason we can't pray our way out of it is because God's letting us see it. Our discernment is what the hell's going on, and we as a people have a job to do. But God ain't going to fix this. God is not going to fix this. And I'll tell you a story in my own life. Come on, I can tell you how many times I prayed to God to have my teachers stop ripping me apart at recess. But it wasn't about God. It was about the circumstances my family created by being so punitive and everything else. And these teachers saw me as a target. But to give you one example of where I come down on prayer, see, I believe prayer is to facilitate thought. Prayer is to get your mind focused on it. Prayer is to get your mind focused on it. The most repeated word, New Testament wise, is ask, A-S-K. I've always told you this. It's an acronym for ask, prayers and petitions. S, seek it out. K, know how to act, know discernment, know when it's there in front of you. It's a formula for how we act, right? But way back when on one of the family properties, family estate, I had decided to donate it to the church. Several $1 million donation. I was conflicted, right? In it, am I going to donate it to my synagogue? Or am I going to donate it to one of the big, large churches? A few things happened to me while I was kind of on this path to try to decide what I wanted to do. One big church came in, toured the property, whatever, and one of their pastors, the only thing he wanted to ask me is, why don't you say Jesus? And I remember looking at him saying, you understand I'm a Jew. But he wanted to hear me say Jesus, and that's what he was judging me on, as I am going to bequeath them a multi-million-dollar property. Of course, I didn't do that. I got them out of there immediately. I said, if you're that shallow, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, then I finally decided on one church, and I decided it would be really, really good because it had all the facilities, but I had a baseball field, a riding arena, an indoor basketball court, indoor tennis courts, right? Everything you could want for a kids' camp, I built in my family place. And, every year we'd have huge celebrations, New Year's, we've talked about that before, or 4th of July, and I have hundreds of people out as guests and stuff. It was really just a place to get away and celebrate. And then after 9/11 happened and I lost so many people, my whole life changed. My family changed. Looking at this incredible facility, home and stuff, it just kind of, right, became a symbol of what was gone, not what I originally built it for. But anyway, I settled on a youth pastor that saw the need to turn it into a youth camp. And that resonated with me. Okay, I can support that. So we do all the paperwork. And of course, they got to put down an escrow and stuff or whatever. And I think I had 90 days or whatever for closing set out at the date. And I hadn't heard anything for a while. I've told you this before, but I hadn't heard anything for a while. And finally, when I get to the youth pastor, he says, well, we've been praying. Very long story short, his vision of God or Jesus or whatever the case for him in prayer, and I kid you not, was if they prayed enough, seriously, if they prayed enough, that one day they would walk out to their mailbox and the rest of the closing money would just magically appear. I kid you not. I kid you not. That was the concept, their concept of prayer. And so that's why I said when we're talking about this with kids, God's not going to fix it for us. And ask, which is in the Bible, you can look it up in that repetition, A-S-K, ask. That's prayers and petitions. That's to focus your mind. It focuses your mind twice, one on God, one on you, what you're focusing for. Second is you've got to go out actively and seek it. That's free will. And then the K part of it is the know. You got to have the discernment that it's there in front of you. You got to know that this is the path you got to do, and here's what happens. Right? Wow. Anyway, that's how that came up. And so people are vacating Netflix, as they should. Elon said it. You got to get rid of Netflix, right? You got to get rid of Netflix and go away. Somebody says, and that sounds like they are following Oral Roberts' concept. Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts. You mean the two gay guys both named Bob? Okay. By the way, did you hear that they got rid of an FBI agent who they had charged with the duty to arrest Comey and to perp walk him? To arrest Comey and to perp walk him. By the way, his arraignment's October 9th. Okay. And the FBI agent in the Washington field office that was to do it said, I refuse. Hamilton, I know Oral Roberts University. I have friends that went there. I basically made a joke. Two gay men, both made Bob. Oral Roberts. Anyway, this FBI agent refused not only to arrest Comey, but to perp walk him, which is, of course, exactly what they did with President Trump in Fulton County. So they had it. And so basically they suspended the agent, even though this is somebody who's been indicted for crime. That tells me a dismantling has begun, right? A dismantling has begun out there to really get some of this horrible stuff cleaned up. One of the other stories that's trending right now, they swept this under the rug, but you remember back when Justice Kavanaugh, had somebody that went to his home in an attempt to murder him. Do you remember that? Well, they kind of swept it under the rug, and they said it was right-wing rhetoric that created that, and the person really wasn't there to assassinate. Well, actually it was. And one of the things I missed was this person way back when was in fact transgender. The news didn't say anything about that. And even the right for a very long time didn't say anything about that. But now understand this, was going to kill Justice Kavanaugh for striking down Roe versus Wade because women should have rights over their body. And it was a dude with a dong who thinks he's a girl. Now, this person got all the way to Justice Kavanaugh's house, where in fact, Kavanaugh, right, and family had to hide. Well, he just got, he was arrested and convicted. And because he's having problems in jail with his transsexualism, not only are they going to help him with his, well, it's not an add a dick to me, it's take a dick from me, right? He got 8 years for that. Although federal sentencing guidelines is 30 years. Federal sentencing guidelines, deduction, that's it, deduction. Federal sentencing guidelines mandate 30 years for such crimes, and the Obama-appointed judge gave him 8, actually just under 8. What it means is this woman, who's a guy, will in fact, watch, pay attention, will be out in 4 years on good behavior. This is the same judge that ruled against parents that would not transition their kids. Eight years. That kind of shows the up, down, upside down nature. Yeah, it's kind of dog years for them, not for us. Not if you're a conservative, they're going to get you. Anyway, interesting thing going on is there's now been a call for a rush of nude protesting.
Biden is Putin's flag.
Now it's kind of one off. Biden is Putin's slut. As she, I think it's a she, dresses as Hitler. Was that Hitler or was that Titler? Anyway, I do have to tell you, I like it when the French women do it. Although I found this one, right? If they want to show their hooters, hey. In France, they've taken it to another level. I've shown you this before, that they kind of show their hooters. But this one, they did a little more dramatic acting, and it was against Israel for genocide of Hamas.
Je ne veux pas mourir. Stop génocide. Israël, Hamas, hors de Gaza. 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 Israël, Hamas, hors de Gaza.
I know what you're thinking. Let me see that again.
Je ne veux pas mourir. Stop génocide. Israël, Hamas, hors de Gaza. 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 Israël, Hamas, hors de Gaza.
Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, were you saying something? Now, it's cool. I'm for naked protesting. I'm biased. I don't want to see a sword fest. I don't want to see a schlong fest. Right? But I guess to each his own. However, you know, we got all this stuff from Portland, Oregon, and they're all upset that troops are going to be there and help out with Antifa and whatever. Oregon is organizing. Did I say that right? Oregon, it gives a new meaning to organizing. Portland is organizing a protest.
Response to the National Guard's deployment, an emergency World Naked Bike Ride. The World Naked Bike Ride usually happens.
Wow, Toolmaker 70, 101 Rumble. Sorry to hear for your loss. He lets us know that he just found out his brother passed. And so sorry that that happened. So sorry that happened. Anyway, so in Oregon, yes, to protest ICE, they're going to have an emergency naked bike ride protest.
Response to the National Guard's deployment, an emergency World Naked Bike Ride. The World Naked Bike Ride usually happens every summer. People bike in the buff to protest pollution from other forms.
If you've never seen one of these, people gather on their bikes, they strip off their clothes, they place them, they kind of line up and push their bikes to the state, a certain kind of little like help station. They get water. Then there's like little techies that remove the seats off all the bikes. And then everybody climbs on and they protest with smiles on their face.
Response to the National Guard's deployment, an emergency World Naked Bike Ride. The World Naked Bike Ride usually happens every summer. People bike in the buff to protest pollution from other forms of transportation and call attention to cyclist safety. In a new post on Instagram, organizers say they are getting ready to ride for another cause, responding to what they call the militarization of our city.
Now, when I think about this, I mean, come on. Who logically says, we're going to protest Donald J. Trump and ICE taking the illegals out of here? We got to do something that stops this. And then somebody goes, you know what? I like people looking at me naked. I love it when naked people getting together. Maybe I'll find some fresh meat. I got it. Let's arrange an emergency naked bike ride. You got to admit that's some pretty crafty thinking, but you're right. What happened to indecent exposure? Now, I'm not going to show you this, but I started looking up this actual event. Yeah, what happened to public lewdness? For every video you can find somebody doing this naked bike ride, you can literally find guys standing in a circle jerk pleasing each other. And this is on the city streets in Oregon. It's not as flippity floppity as you think. They have sword fights. You heard about, guys just swing and yank, wanker swinging. They'll stand in unison and do the flippity flop, right? Swinging. Got to be careful. I'll hit myself on the side of the head. But you know what I'm doing? They do this and film it. And that's in the middle of the streets with people walking. How is that not in and of itself? It's a crime. I don't know if you think like me, but when I watch this video, yeah, those are the real swingers today. I'm telling you, they try to knock helmets all standing next to each other while people film it. Oh, that's great. You're such a protester. But you're probably like me. I watch it to see if any people that I would even mildly want to look at and admire just a good body, right? It has nothing to do with male or female, just somebody's that nice body or whatever the case may be. Do you kind of pick them out in the crowd, or do you look for the one that goes, what are they sitting on? Is that a microphone cover on their seat or what? Number one, what's the male to female ratio on that? Number two, some people just shouldn't get naked. Number three, isn't this just a con for for an exhibitionist that wants to show their naked body to people that if they did it on the street and flashed them, they go to jail? But here we do it and the city sponsors it. And it's primarily a gay cruising event. Right? Think about it. Maybe it's meeting new friends. Oh, hey, I know you. Oh, that's your face. Oh, hey, nice to meet you. I know where you come from. Interesting. Kitty Lover, great friend of the show and of mine, says it's not gay, it's the queer group. I think somebody, Judy said she knows where I come from on that one. I never thought of it that way. It's not the gay group, it's the queer group. I guess you could be gay. Is this what you're saying, Kitty? You can be gay, but not one of these wacky queers, right? That is just doing this stuff. I got a question for you. See if it brings up the same thing for you that it does me. Watch it one more time. Okay, so here's my question. Logically, I know I made you watch the Tour de Freak again, but logically, I want you to think about this. If any one of these people pulled out their genitalia in public, it would be a crime, right? If they flashed you in public, it would be a crime. Am I right? Right? It would be a crime. Okay? Therefore, they're ignoring the law. Can we agree they're ignoring the law? Put it in chat. Yes or no? Are these people ignoring the law? Yes, they are. But I've always told you the left and this extreme crap are totally incongruent in their belief systems. They are conflicted minds, and I can prove it. How do we know from seeing their crap hanging, danging, wanging from us? How do we know that one side they got to obey the law, one side they don't? Do you know why? Check it out. Tell me, what do you catch? Portland, you got to wear a helmet when you ride a bike. Got to observe that one. If I fall off and hit my head, it could be dangerous. But if I fall off and hit you with my beanie weenies and nuggets, it's just a blessing. Think about it. Somebody gave them a permit. The city issues a permit that, as long as it's covered by protest, you're not actually breaking the law. every one of these people, if they whipped Willie out, flashed their bodies in public, in a mall, or whatever the case, in front of a child, there's children all over the place, they would be arrested for a crime. But yet the city permits this in the name of protest. Now, is this free speech? Is this free speech? I don't call this free speech, but you see how they wedged it in under the guise of a protest, which is exactly what they do for Antifa and other stuff. Well, you're not really robbing, you're protesting for George Floyd. And it helps the cause because people recognize you on TV taking those Nikes, and every day you go wear those Nikes or sell them on eBay to get the money. It makes people think of George Floyd and the injustices that occurred. Gabe says you can throw them over your shoulder like a soldier. How did you know? Yes, it's true. I was kind of 50-50 on this, whether it's good or not. So I'm not wearing anything below the waist in protest of this stuff because I don't like it. But how did you know I could do that? Do you have a hidden camera in my studio? I am naked from the waist down. I am protesting these protesters because I think that's just sick. Granted, I can't get up because it'll make a on my leather seat, but it's okay. Speaking of that, and I'm just telling you the truth. Look, nakedness is great. God made beautiful stuff in bodies. God made us all naked. We came in naked. God didn't make clothes. Man made clothes. But I do have a question. When you ride a bike, you sweat. And if you've ever wear biking gear, it's your cracks and your groin that sweat. Wouldn't this be the antithesis of why you want to see somebody naked? Wouldn't it just be crack sweat Lollapalooza? I mean, ultimately, it's just a slip and slide ride, right? And all those hands touching the seats, and all those hands walking through the crowd and shaking hands and touching guardrails and all this other stuff. How is this just not unsanitary butt juice all over the place? I mean, I'm just asking the logical question. How is this just not painting Portland with butt juice? Does nobody ever think of that? Am I the only one that even thinks of that? And yeah, it's kind of like Sodom and Gomorrah and Rome before the fall. Who ever thought, right, that this was protesting? And it's not like they think it out. Yeah, does it stop and make you look? Do you think about ICE when they're riding down the street? Do you think about ICE? Maybe you're a little off and you think about, boy, I'd like to ice those nipples, but you don't think about ICE. Here they are out there protesting in their birthday suit, sweating all over the place. And then you think about Portland itself. They say you're even there for the event. The problem is 95% of those people protesting are the freaking waiters you're about to go eat in the restaurant with. This is not protesting. And it shouldn't be protected under protesting. If it is a crime for the individual to do it, it is a crime for a group to do it. They can have nudist beaches, that's fine. They're not going to let kids in. But to bring it out on the street, you're not protesting. You're spitting in the face of everybody out there. You're forcing them to look at your junk. So I get the, hey, look at me. Yeah, it should have been a bike ride to raise money for prostate exams or something. Right? Bike rides for awareness of breast cancer, where some of the, they have scars or whatever. But why do we excuse crimes as protesting? And you probably know where I'm headed with this. This is what the left is actually doing right now regarding Charlie Kirk, that it was okay because Charlie was spewing rhetoric and people were protesting him. When the line between rioting and protesting get blurred, and I'll tell you when it all happened, when the goal is to destroy society rather than elevate society. And you can see just in the few things I pointed out, logical thinking doesn't apply to this. Critical thinking doesn't apply to this. And I'm showing you what's the common denominator in all of this stuff. You can't be of two minds. But if the system can get you in a two-mind mode, they will control you. Look at these riots where kids go break into Nike stores in the name of George Floyd and steal shoes, and it's not bad. Have one of their buddies steal their shoes, they'll shoot them fucking dead. You stole from me. This is where the whole thing of chaos and two minds comes from. This is not designed for good. This is designed to further perpetrate chaos. And yes, just so you know, I cut my hair for an important purpose and meeting that's coming up, and I didn't want to go in as a long hair. Just so you know. And this is what all of this is designed to do. To take what's wrong and make it right. To take what's ethical and say it's immoral. Because the system needs chaos. They need you upset. They need you pissed. They need to keep you being pissed and upset, right? Pissed and upset, nonstop, in hopes you will do something stupid. So in closing, I want to show you how evil, Satan, always reveals itself, tell you what you're doing, and it always makes an ass of himself, because here are people that in any other circumstances breaking the law, showing their genitalia out in public, think they're protesting, but yet there's still something in them that makes them wear their freaking bike helmets on a street because it's law. That is the dual-minded chaos of the left.
And we've got all the right in the world on our side. And there ain't no reason to be afraid. And there ain't no reason to not take the challenge dead on. Because I'm going to tell you who we come from, folks. We don't come from some weak, jellyback, spineless people. That's not who we come from. None of us. And it doesn't matter what color you are, what nation your folks hail from, how much money you got. We all share the same name. We are Americans. And at Bunker Hill, there was Americans. And at Fredericksburg and Gettysburg, there was Americans. And at Iwo Jima, raising that flag on Suribachi, it was Americans. And at Pork Chop Hill, there was Americans. Khe Sanh, there was Americans. And on 9/11, there was Americans who ran towards those burning buildings. That is who you share your heritage with. You do not share your heritage with a weak and ineffective people who cower at the sight of trouble. You share your heritage with a strong and brave people who are determined to hold on to their freedom and for the freedom of future generations. Guys, it's time for us to stand up and be that generation. It's time for us to stand strong and proud and remember who we are. That we are Americans. And as long as we stand as the vanguard of freedom in this nation, freedom will survive. Not only survive, but thrive. So guys, it's time to put on our packs. It's time to fix those bayonets. It's time to get ready. We got a fight on our hands. And our fight is not for us, for all those generations that's going to come behind us. Let's save America, folks.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.